Coach, thank you for your time. You've been in the role now for 4 months. What have been your reflections so far?
Firstly, enjoyable. Great honour and privilege to be in the role. I think from a whirlwind start, in terms of not having a lot of time to prepare and get to know the players, where we had two games in October, and then November was a 3-week gap before we got together again, so it all happened quite quickly. But this period has been a good period to reflect, review what we've done, review our performances, look at the areas we can improve, and hope that we can get more players in our pool of selection. So a lot of watching players in this period, and just looking forward to the games in March, and we know how important the games are. They're vital to our qualification, and we want to make sure that we're best prepared for those games.
You touched on it just then, as you said, when you started the role, it was quite quick. It's 4 months now between games. How have things changed, and how are you using that time ahead of March?
Yeah, like I said, we're using the time to review everything we've done in October and November, whether that was in camp or on the pitch, off the pitch, and just to look at the details that we can improve, because we don't have a lot of time together with the group. So you might get a few sessions, a few days in camp prior to the first game, and just trying to utilise that time best and be very effective with our time, and make sure that our messages are clear. The boys are ready to come in and give their all to play for their country, and we want them to enjoy being part of the group as well.
You've obviously spent some time in Europe and here in Australia. When you're scouting players, what are you looking for?
Look, a couple of things. You're looking to see whether the player can add value to the style of play that we want to bring out with the national team. Consistent, strong performances are key. So if they're playing at a high level consistently well, that gets them really match hardened, where you're going through difficulty of playing every 3 or 4 days, as is the case in Europe, and you've got to back up and perform at a high level, which puts those players in a good position to back up twice in 4 days with travel as well when you play for your national team. So that's what we're looking for around Europe, and here in Australia, of course, a little bit different. We're dealing with 1 game a week, but we're also dealing with hot conditions. So players that can show that consistency with travel, with climate issues. We're looking to see which players can handle that and not just have 1 good performance, but can they put together 5, 6, 7 good games. And so we're not overlooking any league. Anyone that's playing is a chance, and we're seeing some good signs from players both here and abroad.
When you started in the role, the national team was in 5th in the qualification table, now in 2nd. How do you assess the first 2 windows?
Positive. We're always looking to see what we can do better, but I think the players have taken on our ideas really well. They've embraced them. We've had different situations, different scenarios in each game where we've had to come from behind. We've been in front, and then in our last match, we were quite comfortable, had a 5-minute bad period. You go behind, and then the players showed some great character to come back again. So we've seen that, physically and mentally, that the players are able to deal with the difficulties that you have throughout a match and different moments, and it gives us confidence moving forward. We're in a good position. We're in the position we want to be in. We're in the top 2. We have the opportunity to stay there, so it's in our hands, and we know that this first game against Indonesia in March here at home, here in Sydney, we can really build on that platform that we've put together so far.
No doubt it's been hard work and stressful at times, but what have you enjoyed most about the role?
I think all of that, actually, even the stress. I think the stress of just wanting to get the players in the best shape possible in every aspect, whether that's physically, if it's players recovering, players that need training, technically to get them to understand the football we want to play, and tactically, but also mentally, to make sure the players understand that, playing for your country is a step up. It's the greatest honour. It is pressure, but we should embrace that pressure, and that's what we want the players to do. To understand it's a World Cup qualifier. We know how much is on the line, but we're in a position that we can use that pressure to our advantage, and that's why we're here. We've been selected amongst a very small group to help our nation go to another World Cup, and we want the players to enjoy that, understand what's at stake, but for them to embrace it, that they can put their best foot forward, and that we can all play our part, whether it's staff, whether it's admin staff. Everyone plays their part in getting the players ready on the field, and then we want the players to execute the game plan, to enjoy themselves out there, and really put in that, that real fighting spirit that's a part of our culture here, and that we leave no stone unturned in our quest to get to the World Cup.
You've touched on it a few times, the new system, the new style of play that you've been trying to implement. How happy have you been with how the boys have adapted to that, and how long do you think it'll take before you're fully satisfied with that adoption?
Fully satisfied, I don't know whether you're ever fully satisfied. It's something different, but a lot of the players have played in similar way, especially overseas, the boys in Europe. There are always different parts to the ideas and the playing style in terms of what type of personnel you have in certain positions. And we're working through learning about the players and what their strengths are within that. Also understanding we need the results. So we just want to execute our game plan the best way we can. And we really believe that doing this will enable us to get to the World Cup, and also give us a chance to build on that playing style and take it to another level when we get to the World Cup.
In terms of the formation, some have viewed it as a back three and very attacking. Others have viewed it as a back five and defensive. It looks quite balanced. Is that fair to say? How would you describe your formation?
I think formation is just something on paper, but I think we know what we want to get out of it with the ball, and where we can really exploit teams and really utilise the talent that we have within the group, where our strengths are. You can look at it and say it's a back five at times, but we are at times 5 against 5 at the back. So are we supposed to leave an overload for the opposition and not go 5v5? So in other times that's a starting position. A lot of times we actually move into a back four, but maybe that's not quite noticeable, but we're actually doing that quite often throughout a game. Our shape actually changes throughout the match as well, but the starting base, the point of it is that we build in a three. We build with wing backs high, we build with our 10s or 2 strikers, which is varied in certain games, and then we try and find those spaces and get those players that we believe are creative players on the ball, and be able to get a lot more numbers in the box due to that. So that's the idea of it. Of course, we want to remain hard to beat, and we want to be tough for the opponent to break us down. I think in general we've shown that, and got through some difficult moments through games, and and I think the basis is there to build on, and of course there are many layers throughout the playing style that we'd like to build, but we understand it's international football, but that's not an excuse that we can't bring out enough of our ideas that can be shown in the game, and I'm confident that we'll add a couple more layers to our game in March.
You've spoken about how little time you have with the players and how succinct you need to be with your messaging. What are the key messages that you try to get across to the boys?
I think there are maybe 20 or 30 things you'd like to talk about and bring out, but I think it's important for us in terms of that we have 3 or 4 key messages, key points that we're trying to master in terms of our non-negotiables with the ball, whether that's in our build-up, our middle third or front third, and vice versa, whether it's our pressing, whether we're starting in structure, how high our line is, when do we press, when do we change shape within that structure. So, you know, we're trying to make that as simple as possible, but, you know, if we can perfect those, that's why I alluded to earlier that we can then add a few more layers to our game. So really March will be about reinforcing our play, because it's been a 4-month gap. And then hopefully by the second game we can add a few more layers, and then in June with a shorter space gap between the games, that it will still be very fresh in the players' minds, and we can add some more to our football. But they're the 3 or 4 key principles, without going into detail of what they are. But we obviously have each area covered in terms of what we're looking for the players to understand it quite clearly, and also that it's fluid enough that they can be in different positions as long as it's filled by someone else. So we want to give them that freedom as well, in particular with the ball.
We've had a few setbacks with Harry Souttar's injury, and although you've not had an opportunity to work with him, Alessandro Ciccardi as well. How are you looking to deal with those situations?
Yeah, obviously 2 very good footballers, you know, key members of the Socceroos. Prior to my arrival and moving forward, they are. You know, they're younger players, so they have a bright future, and yeah, we're looking forward to working with them. But at the moment, you know, they have longer-term injuries, and we have to cover that. It just gives opportunity for other players. We showed that in October and November, that players got a chance that maybe didn't have that opportunity previously. I'm expecting some new faces again, and hoping once more that another player can come through and, due to good form, you know, playing well for their clubs, and they can take the next step of playing with the Socceroos and playing at an even higher level.
Speaking of which, one of those is Jason Geria, who's just made a move to Japan. What have you made of that move to Japan, and what have you made of his overall career progression since what he's described as his second debut under yourself?
Yeah, very happy for him. You know, I had the, you know, very lucky to have worked with him and got to know him as a person, and you know, he's always had a strong belief and confidence in himself. Humble person, but full of belief that he can reach another level in his football, and you know, should really inspire a lot of players. You know, Jason's in his early 30s now, and making a move to the J League. You know, he was in the J2, you know, several years ago, where it didn't quite work out for him, and you know, many players think that that's it and the door's closed, but not Jason. You know, Jason's really knuckled down and tried to be the best version of himself, and very open to learning, improving, growing as a person. He became a lot more mature, became a leader in my time with him, working with him, and you know, I thought he thoroughly deserved to get called up for the Socceroos, and you know, I had no doubt that he could perform at that really high level, and I'm sure that contributed to a J League club and probably more clubs being interested in his services, and you know, I look forward to seeing how he can progress now at another level in terms of the J League.
It's been a busy January for a number of other Socceroos, including Nestory, Irankunda and Rowles. What have you made of their moves, and what are you hoping from them?
Yeah, look, I'm happy for both players. Obviously, 2 different situations. You know, we've got one very young player that's, you know, looking to get game time in senior football. You know, looking to progress, looking to learn, you know, and he's gone again out of his comfort zone, so that's a credit to him. Another different league, big club, so there'll be pressure again, and so we're hoping to see him train consistently, which can enable him to play more consistently. So that's a challenge for Nestory. And Kai's, you know, had a wonderful time at Hearts, very durable, very consistent. You know, you're always guaranteed you're getting a solid 6 out of 10 from him and above. And you know, he's earned this move, and you know, he seems very happy to make another change, a different culture, different type of league. But very happy for him, and hopefully we'll see his game progress even further.
Looking ahead to March, the Indonesia game. Indonesia have been a bit of a surprise packet in some ways and continued those surprises with a new head coach and Patrick Kluivert. What have you made of that appointment, and does it change anything for you?
No, it doesn't change anything. I mean, it's hard for us to understand or know the reasons why they've changed, but obviously, internally they have made a decision. They've brought in a very famous name in football, and I'm sure he'll want to continue with their good form, and they'll want to start that against us. So, we know that they are obviously a team that we respect. Obviously, they've shown that in their results. We had a 0-0 draw with them in the first round, and they'll come here wanting to get a big result against Australia. It's up to us to really just focus on us and make sure that we can build on the platform we've set so far, show them the respect they deserve, but certainly not go into the game with any fear. We've got our home crowd behind us. We'll have a stadium full supporting us here in Sydney, and we've got to use that to our advantage, use our belief and our football to our advantage, respect the opponent, but we want to walk away with the 3 points.
Maybe just a final question. You played against Patrick when you were at Palace and he was at Newcastle. Do you have any memories from those days?
Just that he's an outstanding footballer, that's quite clear, and it's been proven in his career as a player, been at the very highest level, played the biggest clubs in the world, and that's my recollection of him. And now obviously he's trying to start something new in terms of his coaching career. He hasn't had a lot of experience in coaching, but he probably views this as an opportunity to do something special, and we wish him well, but just not in March against Australia.